Up until this point, all of our scripts that we've added to our document so far run right when the document loads. So in the case of the function that we just tried, as soon as I refresh the page, the alert box appears if everything's working properly. The last big piece that we want to take a look at as far as learning how to use JavaScript is being able to deal with events. Now, an event can be a lot of different things. As we've seen, it could be the page loading itself, but it could also be a mouse click or an individual object loading on the page. It could be the user mousing over a hotspot on the web page, or maybe selecting an input field or entering some data into a form. There are lots of different events we can design our web page to respond to, so I just want to try a couple of them to see how those work. Now we can use what we've built so far. I've got my test function that pops up an alert message whenever we need it, but I want to call it differently this time. So let's add something to our page that we can actually have our user interact with and have that call our function for us. And for that, I'm going to use a new HTML5 element that's perfect for this kind of function, and that is a button tag. So let me go down below the paragraph here, and I'll add a simple button tag. The button tag is interesting because it will create a clickable button for us, and to create a label for it, all we do is insert the label we want inside the tag itself. So here, I'm going to add a little message that says, click to see alert. And of course, I'm going to close my button tag. And just so we can see what that tag does by itself, I'm going to save my page and we'll go out and refresh the document. Of course, I've got to get rid of my alert message from the last piece. And there we can see the button that's created by my HTML. Now, of course, if I click on that button right now, I'm not going to have anything happen because we haven't hooked this button up to anything yet. So let's go back to our document and do just that. First of all, I think I'm going to get rid of some of this text that we've used to test out some different things, just to clear things out. I'm going to leave my function because we want to use that, but I don't want to call the function anymore. We want our button to do that for us. And since we're through with this statement up here where we're testing out variables, I'll get rid of that too. And that will leave our script tag with just the function we wrote that calls an alert box. I'll also go back to our function and make it so that we don't have to pass in the message parameter. So to do that, I'll just get rid of the message out of the parentheses for the test function. And now that means our function no longer needs to have the message sent to it, but we do need to give it a message in here to use. So let's just put a simple message in here that says the button was clicked. And that way we'll know where our alert message is coming from. Now we're finally ready to actually hook the button up to the script. And we're going to do it with a thing called an event. Now what's nice with HTML5 is that the events have been integrated directly into our HTML elements themselves, including this button that we just made down here. And in order to access an event, we just need to use an event attribute. So I'm going to go inside the beginning of the button tag, and we're going to add an onClick event. Now that's a special event that waits for a click for the mouse, and just like our variables and functions, the name of the onClick event is case sensitive, and you'll notice I have a capital C there for click. To set it, we just need to give it an equal sign, and then I'm going to put in quotes what we want it to do. And what's nice is I can just put a JavaScript statement right here. So I'm going to call our test function. Remember, we removed the parameter for the message, so I just have empty parentheses here. I'll close the quotes, and that's it. Now our button will call the test function whenever a user clicks on it. Let's save our changes, and let's see how it works. I'll go back out to our page, and I'm going to refresh. Now remember, we took all that code away that was creating the JavaScript lines and working with the variables, so all I'm left with is a paragraph and our button below it. But this time, when I click on the button, now I get to see the alert with the message the button was clicked. And that's basically all there is to setting up an event. In HTML5, we can use events on virtually any element on the page, but you're most likely to see them on things like buttons, especially when we've got some user interactivity involved.